now that our disco ball is drawn, I'm going to give you, or you'll need to come get, a disco ball reference. And what we're going to do here is, do you see how this black and white image, we can see the dark and light values. So what I want you to do, using several different colors, you could use a colored pencil. I'm just going to use a highlighter right now. I want you to kind of roughly map out where you see your light values. So for instance, well, your light, medium, and light dark values, okay? So I'm just going to use this highlighter here, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but what I'm doing is I'm going in where I see my lightest areas. And that's going to help give me an idea where I need to paint my lightest values, okay? So I did the yellow for the light. Now maybe I go in and I'm going to find whatever is easiest for you. Maybe it's easiest to find the darker values first or next. So I'm going to kind of use this blue to map out. And it's okay if you just highlight over them too, whatever works best for you. Okay, so now basically everything I have left is going to be my middle tones. So you can either go in and map those out as well, or just leave them. So once you have that mapped out, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start marking this. We're gonna start adding those values on here. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of color mixing before we do that. If you go back to your value scale that you created, we had 8 different colors. You might not use 8 different colors for this, but you just want to make sure that you have a clear defined light, medium, and dark color. So maybe I end up using maybe my 2 or my 3 for my light color. Maybe I use my 5 for my medium, and then 8 for dark. Okay, it just kind of depends, but as long as we can tell the difference between, you'll probably see that there'll be a little blending where you'll get some of these in between colors. Okay, but just make sure that we can tell the difference. All right, so we have our paint. I've already scooped a little bit onto my paper plate. I have my popsicle stick, so we are going to begin mixing and watch how I complete this. Okay, so I'm going to start with my lighter areas first. All right, so I'm just going to take my brush and I am just going to paint right over top of this. And we are going to be painting a little bit, I mean, you should be able to see the lines through there, okay? We're gonna go over this later, but this is gonna be a lot easier so that we don't have to draw on top of it, okay? So it is totally okay to see those black lines from the disco ball there. I'm actually gonna make this a little bit lighter by adding a little bit of white, but I'm gonna go in and just continue mapping out my light areas. If you find areas that maybe aren't quite as light as you want, like it's blocking out the black lines too much, what you might do is you might get a container of water, and as you dip in here, you're just going to kind of dilute it a little bit. So as I come and find my next light areas, that'll kind of thin it out a little bit. And we're going to use this is our underpainting anyway, so we're going to actually end up painting over this all again. All right, now that I have my light areas mapped up, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go with my dark colors. Before I do that medium, so here we go. All right, so now basically what I have left is gonna be all of my middle colors. So I'm gonna mix a middle value. All right, so from here, I have this pretty well mapped out. You might go in if you have any white spaces or see any areas that you need to adjust, that you can totally go in and do. Like I said, this is actually going to be our underpainting, meaning that this is underneath and we're actually going to be painting on top of this. So don't worry about seeing those black little lines, because that's going to help us with our guide later on. So after you are at this step, you are just going to let it dry, and then we'll move on to the next part of actually getting those little disco ball rectangles in there.